Before I forget, first of all, let me say thank you to all the folks who planned this. I wanted to do something different. We had to do something a little bit more involved, and so I appreciate Yana and Lee and Tanya and Mike Nixon, who knows everybody in every restaurant over there in Washington, D.C., and knows the owner of this place and got us this room. And so I really appreciate you all for making this happen. This is tough and bittersweet. I was thinking about tonight and what I would say. It's been a challenge for me and my family to, one, make the decision to come here. And I thank you, gentlemen, for putting up with I'm on my way. I knew I was supposed to be there. And just keep on quiet, just one more conference call. And I'll be able to support that you've given. Sean made that call, so it's kind of interesting. So actually, I'll tell you, this thing goes back. As Sean said, we go back 20 years. We're great friends. We worked together in the Clinton administration. He left me behind and left me for 5 years in the Bush administration, but I got over it. And Jill and I had been out one Friday night, and she said, we got home and got to bed pretty late. She said, I don't care what happens, the house could be on fire, don't wake me up before noon. And so, 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, Jill, wake up. She said, what did I tell you? And I said to her, wake up, look at the TV. And it was the announcement that President Obama had selected Sean as the HUD secretary. She was like, well, that's worth waking up for. And almost immediately, some folks in the room here started sending text messages and making calls and saying, have you heard the news? Are you going back to HUD? And, no, I'm doing what I'm doing. I got my consulting firm. We're doing really well. I'm happy for them, but, nah, that's not for me this time. And it was weeks after that, on the day that Sean was confirmed, he called me and he said, hey, I just got confirmed by the Senate on Friday. Said, I don't know how long it would take you to unravel what you got going on with your consulting firm, but I could really use your help. I said, well, Sean, I don't know. I said, well, what are you thinking? He was like, well, can you be here on Monday? And we had the conversation about it. I need to talk to the boss and to the boss and get some direction before I can give him an answer. But it became apparent in the days that followed that this was the right thing to do. And I've not regretted it once in the 4.5 years. And I thank you and the president for the opportunity. When he called me, he wasn't even sure what job I would do and what it would be about. And then somehow, somewhere along the way, this role of working on disaster recovery became my responsibility. But what it brought with it was an opportunity to have an incredible impact on my hometown, where HUD fortunately had a lot of money invested, had a lot of interest. And his very first trip as HUD secretary was to New Orleans, and I got to play scheduling in advance and congressional relations, and you mess up a whole bunch of stuff. And the job got more complex, but it got better every single day. I mean, as the challenges came, and I see people like Riley Morris from the Mississippi Center for Justice who sued us James Perry was in here who sued us, but we left the negotiation table and worked out settlements and served a lot of good people who were otherwise being left out, and made some really, really good strides and better policy, I think, for the nation when it comes to disaster recovery. And, you know, I look around this room and I see so many people whose numbers were on speed dial, and I hate to do this, but I've got to say some names. I see Stan Gamont and Jesse Cohn and Jan Opper and Scott Davis and Mary McFadden, all the folks who do the CDBG work, and Yolanda who leads their team, and the folks in PIH who I've worked with. It's just, I'll stop with the names because I'm going to leave somebody out. Like I say, charge it to my head, not to my heart. But know that I have been effective in this job only because you all have welcomed me and worked with me in a way that failure was impossible and success was imminent. And, you know, Sean and I had a conversation just a short time before the election. We talked about what my intentions were for a second term. He said to me, you know, I think if the president wins, there's a chance I get asked to stay on as HUD secretary, and I just want to see what you plan to do. And I said to him, I said, Sean, I don't think I can do another term. I said, I'll help you with transition. My birthday's at the end of May, and I think I'll be going by then. And then, like, days later, Hurricane Sandy happened. And I remember one evening, Yana was trying to get me on the phone, and she said, the secretary's looking for you. And I said, I'm down in the parking lot. Should I come back up? And she said, no, he's on his way down. And he calls me on his cell phone. I said, look, I'm right over here in my car. And he comes over to me and he tells me that the president asked me to be the head of the Sandy Development Task Force. He said, well, I don't know how this is going to change that conversation we had a few days ago, but think about it. And I drove home just thinking about it, but thinking more about what he said. He said, you know, wouldn't it be great to have started with your hometown and ended with mine?
Oh.
I've got to tell you, that's the hardest part of leaving this, is remembering that line. But I've got to tell you this, that I think all the work that so many people in this room and people who aren't in this room but wanted to be here have done in the 4.5 years to make HUD and the federal government better partner with state and local governments who are facing disaster recovery and facing catastrophe, that we're going to finish with your hometown. We've laid the foundation, and know that I will do whatever I can for New Orleans. In fact, I made it a requirement in my contract that I could do outside consulting. Somebody had a question about Sandy and I could help out. So I am committed to doing what I can. But more important, if there's anything I've learned, is that 4 years is not enough time to recover from a catastrophe like Sandy. So even if I wanted to, we wouldn't get it done. But as I look at Katrina and what it did to New Orleans, and look at where we are 8 years later, and 4 years after we began our work on it, and look at what opportunity is now before you because of the work that we've done, I think I can finish up what we started in New Orleans. So that is my commitment to you and to all of you who worked diligently on this. Now, I'll say just a couple more things, and then I'll let you all go have another drink. Some of you all know that my father passed away a few months ago. Well, on the president's first visit to New Orleans, my parents both walk with canes, so my mother says it's a VIP stick. She's able to get into the good seating. And so she was in the event and sat directly behind Sean, and so I sent Sean a text and said, my parents are behind me. And he said, where? And I told him, and he turned around and spoke to him. And after the event was over, the president worked the rope line. And my dad, we talked a lot in the last days as I was in the hospital with him. And he proudly recalled that day and said, remember meeting the president? And he said to me, your son is doing a great job. I didn't have the heart to tell him that he didn't know me. Or the work that I was doing well enough to make an assessment. But he was proud all the same. But, I had the good fortune to be alone in the hospital room with my dad when he passed away. And one of the last things he said to me was, he said, take care of your mother. And I thought a lot about that in the days and weeks that followed. And literally 2 weeks after, the day after I finished updating my resume for the first time in 4 years, I found out about the job that I'm doing. A job that gives me the opportunity to go back to Louisiana to live in New Orleans. And the board, when I interviewed with them, told me it would be a couple of weeks before they would make a decision. And before I could get out of Baton Rouge, they actually called me and said, we voted and you have the job. And and my head was spinning. But I have no doubt that the reason why they have the confidence in me to choose to put me in this position is because of the great work that I've done with so many of you all. The success that I've had because of the commitment of the folks at HUD and FEMA and OMP and all of our other partners work together on things. And so, quite literally, I want to thank you all because you all are allowing me to live out my father's dying wish. And for that, I will forever be grateful.